Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week, we are here to discuss an episode of television that has been hyped up for us maybe more than any other thing we've discussed on this podcast.
Yeah, people are like, you gotta watch the Jim Henson Hour. That's too bad. But there is Dog City.
There's
and we've been hearing
always
that for
Dog
like
City.
years.
We even read a quote where Jim Henson himself called this his favorite thing he ever did. Just above the Heartless Giant, by the way. Let's contextualize that.
That's so interesting.
So we are here to discuss whether or not he had a point. Is this the best thing Jim Henson ever did? Should it have been his favorite? I guess we can't decide that. But
yeah, we can tell him what to do.
yeah, I'm thinking back now, I'm like, where's the window of time where somebody asked him, like after a Dog City before his death?
Oh, yeah, that's a pretty
so
small...
Jim, what's the favorite thing you ever did?
Like a time traveler went back or something.
Yeah. And I think the closer to his death that was, the more wild it is that would be true.
Yeah.
If it was the day after he filmed Dog City,
yes,
fine,
that's true.
whatever, Jim.
Yeah, I guess if it was like, if the context was it was on a talk show where he was talking about Jim Henson
yeah,
Hour.
and he's like, that's my favorite thing I've ever done.
And then there's this other thing we made for Jim Henson Hour. Also,
don't forget about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, all that said, obviously it is time for us to finally discuss the Dog City episode of the Jim Henson Hour from May 5th, 1989.
Mm-hmm.
I had an interesting sort of journey with Jim Henson Hour this past week. For those that don't know, Tough Pigs, the Muppet fan website, has a Discord that people hang out in. They talk in. One of the channels inside of that Discord is a Other Muppets podcast, which basically means a non-Tough Pigs Muppet podcast. Now, there's not a ton of those out there in the world, so, we get talked about from time to time in the Other Muppets podcast channel on their Discord. So recently, because we've been talking about the Jim Henson Hour, people on there have been talking about us talking about the Jim Henson Hour.
Great. Very
Some
meta.
people getting very, I won't say defensive like in a negative way, but they are standing up to defend the Jim Henson Hour.
Yeah.
Some people, specifically the Muppet television segments, which still baffles me. But I think what I'm realizing is the times we've talked to people about Jim Henson Hour and the people who are jumping to the defense of it in the Discord, some of them haven't watched every episode.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the episodes people have referenced that are their favorites are ones we have yet to see or Dog City.
Okay.
So I'm curious if we watch this show out of order, if we'd be having a better time with it. But also people who, out of context were just told, hey, watch this Secret of the Muppets episode, or hey, watch this Dog City episode, and just watch that. If maybe they have like a different perception of this show than we do, who are forced to watch it in chronological order.
Right. Because if all you've ever seen of Muppet television is them getting ready to show Dog City, then you might be like, all right, I can kind of understand what they were going for with Muppet television. And you haven't seen all the ones where it's just like the Muppet Show on a green screen. With
if
a really
only
uncomfortable
it was that
looking,
good.
with really uncomfortable looking guest stars. Yeah.
Yeah. I wish it was the Muppet Show on a green screen. I think it often just feels like the first draft, like table read of the Muppet Show in front of a green screen.
Yeah. It wishes it was the Muppet Show on a green screen as well, I think.
I think something that, coincidentally also came from Discord, but this time from our Commitment Patreon Discord, I was asking sort of what people don't like about the 2015 series, because I get that there's a disconnect and a lot of people don't love that series, but I'm curious the specifics of why people don't like that show. And Shane Keating from Tough Pigs, who was in our Discord, laid out a very nice response about why he doesn't love it. But one of the things he mentioned is that in the old Muppet Show, you have a lot of this sort of cartoonish nature. Everything feels big, literally explosive, and all the characters have this "the show must go on" spirit. And it's not just like, this is our day job. What are you gonna do? It's Monday,
Right.
and I totally understand that. While also realizing, as I was reading his response, that that's one of my biggest problems with the Jim Henson Hour, is that Digit and Vicky and Kermit, and none of them feel like they got into this for show business. They really want to make this show work. It feels like, they inherited a TV station and now they're trying to save it.
I guess so, but that's what the Weird Al movie UHF is about, and he tries really much harder than them.
That's true. I guess maybe they inherited it from a relative they didn't like, and they don't actually care if it fails.
Yeah. Yes, the trying to save it part is the part where I am not on board with it, because it does feel like maybe Kermit's doing like a producer's thing where somehow he stands to make a lot of money if it fails.
Maybe he gets paid no matter what. He got paid up front.
Yeah,
like, hey, if Kermit's doing this, I need a guarantee here. I don't think all these episodes are going to end up airing, so can you please pay me up front?
Yeah, Kermit don't get out of bed for just anything these days.
You're going to have to bring that green screen to my bedroom if you want to film Kermit.
I'm thinking that Kermit now is exactly the same color as a green screen, and there were probably so many people in history of making stuff with Kermit who were like, I wish this fucking guy wasn't exactly the same color as a green screen.
Yeah, it's like the rest of the industry has moved on to green screen, and we're still stuck doing blue screen.
You gotta do blue because of this.
And then Gonzo's also going to be in this, and you're like, fuck. What are we gonna do?
The 2018 Muppet, they're the 20 whatever Muppet series. That's the one where they're 2 9 to 5. Is that what?
Yeah, that's what Shane was saying in our Discord, of just feeling like, they're not trying to achieve their stardom dreams like they are, in Muppets Take Manhattan, when they're trying to get on Broadway, or the Muppet movie where they're gonna make a movie to make millions of people happy.
Right.
It's just, they got jobs, they got a gig doing this thing. They're not a ragtag group of people who ended up together in this way. They just sort of, maybe Scooter just did an interview and Kermit was like, yeah, you're good enough.
I would say that the argument that the Muppet TV series is 2 9 to 5 doesn't really bear out to me, because I think that's what the show was supposed to be about. Like, they had gotten past the show must go on thing to be successful, and they had forgotten what it was to have fun doing it. And then in the last episode, they were like, oh yeah, we're supposed to be having fun doing this.
Right. And I think that's right. And I think the problem is, or the disconnect is, that a lot of Muppet fans didn't want that.
Yeah. They get to it too slow, probably. It's like the series got canceled, obviously, but also that really only starts to show up in the last couple episodes, I think, as far as I remember.
And so I think it's not necessarily that people hate the writing or the situations. I think a lot of it boils down to the fact that they're just like, really, this is what we're doing with the Muppets? This is the only thing the Muppets get to do right now, is this like sort of sad sack work show, which I understand, but for me, it's more of a detour, road stop, whatever you like, rest stop, whatever you want to say, on the big journey of the Muppets. And I don't think that's a problem to do something really different sometimes.
Right. Yeah. Except that's kind of like, I don't know. The Muppets are always stuck in it's like Ghostbusters 2. I'm trying to figure out why it doesn't bother me on the TV series, because I hate that kind of thing in movies where it's like the sequel to the movie. All of a sudden, everybody's like back to square one. Like in Ghostbusters 2, where they don't get to be the Ghostbusters until like partway through the movie because they all got in trouble.
Yeah.
But that also is like the mode the Muppets are always in too, where it's like we have to build up to something. Where I guess the
you always
Muppet
have to
show
remind people like who the Muppets are and what it is they want to do. They can't start off successful.
Yeah, maybe it's a bunch of people who are too much like us, who are like, we have to explain why Sweetums is here. instead of just being like the Muppet Show where they're like, we don't fucking care about anything. You're just gonna watch
Right.
the Muppet Show and be happy.
Yeah, and maybe that's the right route. But I think there's also something of, there was sort of this feeling like things were trying to steal the Office's format at the time too. And so I think anything that was made in that sort of mockumentary style at the time also was a little bit frowned upon.
Right.
Because people are like, oh, of course we're doing this. What a surprise.
Yeah, that's true. That wasn't very like forward thinking, I guess, that would be dated.
But, it's probably about 10 years till we get to discuss that show on this podcast. So I don't know why we're talking about it so long.
Somebody sent me like a Blue Sky thing. What did it say?
Oh, yeah, I saw that. They were re-listening to our Muppets Haunted Mansion episode from 2021. And in that episode, you say something about, I can't wait until 4 years from now when we're talking about this again. No. And guess what, Sam? It's been 4 years. And we're in 1989.
That's so sick.
The hubris that we thought in 4 years we would be caught up.
Yeah. What would that even have looked like? We would have had to watch so much stuff every week. We would have gone insane.
Well, it was more so that I think we would have not watched everything that Jim Henson and the Muppets ever did. I think what we would have been doing was our original thought behind this was going to be watching all the movies and the TV shows. But I think when we first discussed it, we would watch like 6 episodes of Fraggle Rock and then discuss Fraggle Rock as a concept, not watch every hour of Fraggle Rock.
Then we on our deathbeds, we would have been like, we didn't do the commitment.
Yeah, we probably would have.
I don't think it would have counted.
Well, the other thing going on right now that I feel like I want to mention because I can't stop thinking about it is the Jim Henson Company auction that they're doing, where they're auctioning off a bunch of props and press materials, memorabilia, Jim Henson's clothing. And I want a bunch of things, and everything I bid on, I got outbid so incredibly fast. I thought I was like going for things that maybe people wouldn't be super into, like the Frog Prince script or the Great Santa Claus production script or something like that.
Right.
And also, I think the Hey Cinderella press kit, mostly because I love how much they were convinced Splurge was going to be the next big thing in the Muppet world.
That's so crazy. Why did they think that?
I mean, they didn't have much at the time. This is pre-Sesame Street, so...
Yeah, that's true.
Post Sam and Friends, pre-Sesame Street, there aren't that many Muppets out there.
Forget Kermit. Look at this guy. He's huge.
Yeah.
And then Grimace came and totally ate his lunch.
Yeah, unfortunately. But speaking of eating lunch, there are, in that press kit, recipes for Hey Cinderella related foods. So, if we ever need an idea for a live stream, we can make some probably pretty gross
Are they
food.
Nasty 70s foods? They've got to be, right?
Well, there are 60s foods for sure.
Yeah, right. Why is there a dip for tacos and burritos as one of them?
You know how often you dip your burritos?
I just mean more like, what does that have to do with Cinderella?
That's a great question. Because, they have Featherstone's favorite cream puffs, Splurge Dunk, which is a package of whipped cream cheese, a cup of pickle relish, and some tablespoons of soy sauce mixed in with bite-sized egg rolls. Then a geranium red dip for tacos and burrito rolls, and Fit for a King punch, which is pretty much just a regular punch.
Is geranium like a character from Hey Cinderella?
It apparently is that Arthur and Cinderella both agree to wear a geranium to the ball.
Oh.
So that's how they'll know each other at the masked ball, is to wear a geranium.
They both go to dunk their burritos at the same time in the dip. They touch each other. You're like, I'm in love.
Well, I will make sure to screenshot that recipe so that even if we can't own the piece of paper that it is currently on in the auction, we can at least have the recipe to make at some point and probably taste some really bad dip on a live stream.
I'll make some burritos for us.
Yeah, there is no recipes there for burritos or tacos. So they don't tell you how to make the things to dip.
You got to bring your
learn how to make the dip. I should probably stop thinking about food because, I can't eat right now because we have to record a podcast.
We're going to get so hungry.
We're going to get very hungry.
To eat a burrito. Wouldn't it be great to eat a burrito right now?
Sam, stop it.
Instead of
thinking about burritos, I'm going to quickly ask you so we can move on. What did we watch this week?
Hey, first we watched the Jim Henson Hour episode titled Dog City, which aired May 5th, 1989. The Muppet television team and seemingly the entire world is excited about tonight's premiere of the new movie Dog City. However, when premiere time rolls around, the film is missing. So, to fill time, Bean Bunny shows off some of his upcoming projects, and then we get a behind the scenes look at the stunt cats who worked on Dog City. Eventually, Vicky finds the movie and they play the movie, and the movie is Dog City. Dog City is a city full of dogs, where it's also the 1930s. That means swinging jazz joints, tough dames, and gangsters. Ace U is a newcomer to Dog City who moves there to inherit the Dog House, a club his late uncle Harry left him. Ace didn't even know he had an uncle, so he inquires after him and quickly discovers that Harry had run afoul of local crime kingpin Bugsy Them because he refused to pay them protection money, and Bugsy killed Harry in retaliation. Bugsy shows up at the doghouse to meet its new owner, and Ace tells him that he won't pay either, planning on using the profits from the doghouse to open a home for orphans. Bugsy threatens Ace and leaves. Later that night, Ace hears noises in the alley and finds Colleen, a collie, digging for food in his garbage cans. Ace invites her in, but before she can take him up on that offer, they discover that the doghouse has been set on fire. They put it out, and Ace tells Colleen that he's being bothered by Bugsy, and then a little bit about his childhood. Ace was an orphan raised by an old Pekingese couple, but he has one memory of his life before that: the dim image of his father playing with a duck puppet. While cleaning up after the fire, Colleen discovers the duck puppet and a note explaining that Uncle Harry was actually Ace's real father. The next night, Bugsy's men storm the doghouse and kidnap Colleen. Ace tracks her down and frees her, and the pair escape, chased by Bugsy and his crew. It all ends with Ace and Bugsy facing each other down on the docks. Using the duck puppet, Ace distracts Bugsy and tricks him into falling into the ocean. He and his crew are arrested, and Ace and Colleen decide to get married and open their home for orphans together. Then we watched a clip from the Pat Sajak Show, which aired on CBS on March 8th, 1989. Jim and Pat talk about all the normal stuff that people talk to Jim about when he's on talk shows. Then Kermit comes out, and Pat tells him that he heard that Miss Piggy broke up with him. Kermit panics, as usual, and throws to a clip of the upcoming Miss Piggy's Hollywood, a segment from an upcoming episode of the Jim Henson Hour. Do you read anything about the Pat Sajak Show?
Just that it only lasted about a year, and it was apparently the first time that CBS was trying to do a late night show since the Merv Griffin show went off the air in like the 70s.
Right. Did you read about the Rush Limbaugh stuff?
Oh, no. I did not see that part.
It seems like maybe Pat Sajak and Rush Limbaugh are friends, which is not surprising knowing what I know about Pat Sajak.
Yeah.
But he was a guest host on the show. Also, allegedly, they were testing out letting Rush Limbaugh be the new host of the show secretly or something like that.
Okay.
But he was on, I think he was maybe on a couple times, and every time he was on, protesters would show up and like scream at him from the audience. And
Fair.
Rush would like go into the audience and like interview people, but there were people who were there specifically to like be rude to him, but they'd act like they were really excited to like talk to him, and then he'd go up to them and then they'd be like, fuck you. So eventually he sequestered himself in a different studio to finish the show away from his live studio audience.
Wow.
So it sounds like a big mess. I wanted to watch clips for that episode, but I didn't.
Everything I hear about Pat Sajak as a person doesn't make me want to watch more of his show.
No, but so I started reading about it because I was like, he's not that bad at interviewing people, actually. Like, he does a better job talking to Jim than a lot of people have.
He seemed more interested than Jay Leno did.
Yes, Jay Leno did a significantly worse job than Pat Sajak, I would say.
Which I guess Pat Sajak's job, having to talk to three strangers every week and try to make it interesting.
Three of the most boring people in the entire world, probably.
Right, yeah, and like he doesn't have any control over whether or not they're interesting, so he has to step up and be more interesting or make them interesting. So I think that probably helps when he has to do interviews like this.
Talk to boring old Jim Henson.
Worth noting also that Pat Sajak, this is not the last time we'll see him with the Muppets, because in 2021, he was one of the singing busts in Muppets Haunted Mansion for some reason.
What? Why?
I wish I could tell you, but I feel like that movie just reached out to everyone and got the most random people to be cameos in it.
Would you even have been able to tell it was him?
No, because if you remember correctly, the scene where those singing busts are singing, they're also slightly altered with CGI to like put them on the sort of bust in the graveyard.
Yeah.
And so barely recognizable.
I can tell it's him now that I know it's him, but I don't know who any of these other people are.
And like some of the, like I think Craig Robinson is one of them. And that's a man that, you know, normally you would recognize. But when you see him in Muppets Haunted Mansion, no.
CGI, a CGI bust with a wig on, it looks like.
With a wig on and stuff, and just does not look like a man whose face is, you know, pretty recognizable otherwise. Let's talk about Pat Sajak first, since I feel like we'll have a lot more to say about Dog City than we will Pat Sajak. This is Jim, Kermit on a talk show, like we've seen before. They do cover a lot of the same ground as far as Kermit and Piggy's relationship. Jim tries to land some jokes that don't necessarily land very well. So, you know, you've seen this kind of thing before if you've been watching along with us.
I thought he was doing okay. I feel like him hanging a lantern or like hanging a lampshade on I hate doing this helped like, contextualize when he was like, I hate being in front of a live audience. So it was like, okay, I'll cut you some slack then.
Yeah, I think the problem for me is there's a point at which he once again reiterates that he's not a good host.
I wish
he shouldn't be doing his own show.
He's gotta stop doing that. Yeah,
but the problem is in this context, the way he said it, like Pat didn't react, the audience didn't laugh, and so it just comes across as really sad. Yeah, like if he had said like, "Yeah, I'm not really good at this," and they're like, "I bet that's not true."
Right. I think that's like he just needs somebody to say, Jim, I think you're doing a great job. He's just desperately reaching out for someone to be like, no, Jim, don't be so hard on
no
yourself.
One, he keeps saying it and no one says, no, I don't think that's, I think you're actually good at this. Instead, they just move on to a different topic.
He wanders around the studio after every shoot being like, I did such a bad job. And everybody's
don't
like,
you think? Don't ask me. I'm not the expert on that. I think, you know, out of all the humans on set today, I think you were probably the best.
You're in the top 5% of the people who could have done a good job.
The lion did not outshine you in today's scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pat moves on to talking about Jim's voice and how he gets recognized at times. The audience goes nuts when Jim does a brief Ernie impression, which I guess is not an impression, it's his voice.
Because it is like, it's undetectable really what the difference is there. It's just like a little bit more like peppy, I guess, or something.
Yeah, like he's just like, Ernie's right under the surface, and everyone's like, oh my god, it's Ernie!
That was fucking Ernie. Yeah. I haven't seen people freak out like that over a Muppet in a long time, I feel like.
I guess maybe the Sesame Street ones don't get as like, you know, interview heavy.
They're more
segments.
Famous probably too.
Probably. I mean, a lot more people have the childhood attachment to them.
Yeah.
But we get to see a Sesame clip of Squeal of Fortune featuring Pat Playjacks, the Muppet based on Pat Sajak, obviously.
What do you mean by there's only 3 Muppets ever in Sesame Street that were based on real people?
At this time, I believe there was no other sort of like parody celebrity Muppets outside of like 3. Like there was what was it? The Dolly Parton one, Polly Darton or something like that. I think we watched at one point. But I guess at the time they were trying to limit the amount of celebrities that they were, I guess, making into Muppets, which
makes sense.
Feels like they abandoned that at a certain point.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we've seen a lot more pop culture parodies at this point.
Right.
But yeah, it feels, I don't know, to me, I didn't mind the energy here, but it just felt like they had a list of like 12 talking points. And Pat was sure that they were going to get to all of them.
Yes. There were not a lot of follow-up questions or anything like that. But
right.
Sometimes if you're trying to riff with Jim and get some conversation going, it doesn't work out so good. So maybe
I just think it feels like maybe the pre-interview is also bad of like forcing in things about Sesame Street is good for kids and adults is fine in a different interview.
Right.
But when it's in this interview, it amounts to pretty much them just saying that sentence out loud. It's
just kind of boring. Yeah.
And then moving on.
That's right.
But after the commercial break, Kermit is here to, you know, finally liven up the place. He lets us know that he's working on some other frog television shows. My Three Frogs, Married with Tadpoles, which gets a pretty big reaction.
Talking about that show, remember?
Quantum Leapfrog, which also gets a pretty decent reaction. And then the Frogsby Show, which gets more of a groan.
Yeah, that one's pretty bad.
Yeah, and Jim he's like, oh, yeah, think about it, folks. I'm like, no, Jim. That one's just a sweatier one than the other ones.
I didn't know Married with Children was from 1987. That's older than I thought it was.
Yeah, I think it's probably when Fox started, and it was just I think it was just the hit show at the time too. So referencing it at all was probably why they got the woo on that one.
Right. Kermit is not dissimilar from Al Bundy in how much he doesn't want to have sex with like the main woman in his life.
As far as that part of this goes, Peg Bundy, Miss Piggy, not that dissimilar of characters.
Right. That's why Kermit watches is like, that is what life is like. Exactly.
But then they do move on to this, talking about Kermit and Piggy bit that feels pre-rehearsed.
I think it's pre-scripted. Yeah.
Yeah. Or at least they discussed, here's how we'll get into this. Because at first I thought Pat was going rogue and I was not sure this was the best course of action. But then it paid off because Pat's just sort of, oh, hey, how's Miss Piggy doing, by the way? I saw her and she told me what happened, which leads into the usual, Kermit denying that they ever had a relationship, all that stuff. But it's really all a setup just for Miss Piggy's Hollywood special.
This felt like the cleanest, like, you can tell that they're in a relationship, but that Kermit's going to deny it, but that he's still, like, emotionally invested in her. Like, to me, it read the best this time, where he was not shutting it down, like, in the same way, where it's just like, shut up. He was more like the undercurrent of, like, yeah, I was hurt. I'm not going to get into it kind of thing.
Well, especially the first couple of things that Pat says, Kermit just doesn't really respond.
Yeah.
Like when he's like, hey, I saw Miss Piggy the other day. How's she doing? And at first he's kind of like, no, don't take the bait. I'm not going to talk about this. And then he's sort of like, so you saw her, huh? How is she? And I think you're right in that this feels like Kermit's engaging in that conversation in a way that is more enjoyable than when he just is like, nope, it's a working relationship. Nothing to see here.
Yeah, I think it's the worst maybe when they're together and they are still, and like he's doing the pretending that they're not in a relationship and she's not, because there's really like nowhere you can go with that. Exactly.
No, but yeah, like when she's on her own on talk shows, which I know through the 90s especially, I think she has more of this, when she's on talk shows and gets to talk about the relationship from a point of view that, she almost knows that Kermit doesn't want to be in and won't acknowledge it, but she will have many, many reasons and excuses for why that is, and will consistently tell everyone that they are in fact in a relationship.
Why doesn't he want to date her? That's the question I'm always asking myself. She's a perfect woman.
But they're coworkers.
I suppose that's true. That does make it complicated. Didn't stop Jim and Pam.
That's true. That's why they did it in the 2015 series. They were like, we got to get some of that Jim and Pam energy going on in here.
Exactly.
Well, Jim, not Halpert, but Henson, discusses that the old story of using his mother's coat and the ping pong balls to build Kermit. I think for me, this feels so much like Jim Henson 101 in a lot of ways. That was kind of surprising.
We know too much.
Yeah. And I get that, we are us and not everyone knows what we know. But to touch on the fact of like, oh yeah, Sesame Street, that's for kids and adults. And Jim, how'd you make Kermit out of a coat and ping pong balls? Wowza.
And this is the network that the Jim Henson Hour is on. Is that right?
No, actually, this is on CBS and the show's on NBC.
Interesting. So. Yeah, I was wondering if somebody at the network was like, we got to teach people who Jim Henson is. Everyone's forgotten or something like that.
I mean, Pat Sajak says at the top, he is Mr. Muppet. Everyone knows Jim Henson at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
He is very much a household name. They almost have an interesting discussion where Pat asks him if the Muppets was what he always wanted to do. As we know, it wasn't.
No.
But Jim sort of spins that into a more of, what I'm doing now is wanting to direct a little bit more and maybe stay behind the camera, and moves it a bit more back to the Jim Henson Hour as opposed to actually talking about the beginnings of the Muppets.
Right.
But yeah, then it wraps up with Pat thanking Kermit for bringing his pal Jim. And Kermit says, I didn't even realize he was there. There was a moment where Kermit says something about like, maybe next time when I come back, you won't insult me.
Yeah, I rewound that moment because I was like, what's he talking about? Is he talking about bringing up Miss Piggy?
It must be, but it wasn't clear enough for me to figure that out, or I was like, did they cut something out, or was that just the Miss Piggy thing?
It seemed a little too mean to me. Like if Kermit said that to me, I'd feel bad for like the rest of the day.
Right. I'd be like, oh, shit, I didn't realize
Sorry,
I did that. I'm
Kermit.
so sorry.
I'm
Like, this
so
feels like too
sorry.
real of a moment.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited for the Miss Piggy Hollywood thing, though, because Dudley Moore is reacting to Miss Piggy exactly the same way I would. So I got
I
to
thought
see
the
more
same
about where
thing. I was
that
like, oh,
goes.
wow, they made a movie about Sam.
Yeah. I have my calendar hanging on the wall. Like, the pages are stuck together. I did not do that. It came that way.
Came that way from eBay, which is also troubling.
Yeah, it was wrapped in plastic. Something else happened to this thing, but
Time.
yes.
But that means, Sam, it is time for us to discuss the Emmy Award winning Dog City.
That's crazy.
Jim Henson won an Emmy Award for outstanding directing in a variety or music program for this special.
Just something to keep in mind throughout this is that as I was watching it, I was thinking that's the fucking coolest puppet thing I've ever seen. Like, there's a few. It's directed well. I will agree with that.
Yeah, I think all but one scene, I was like applauding the filmmaking.
Yeah.
But one scene I think highlights all of the limitations of this kind of puppetry.
Okay.
So we'll get into that. But first, we obviously have Muppet Television to deal with. So yeah, getting into the cold open, Digit has prepared a solid lineup of television, but Kermit rushes in to let him know he can shut it all down because it's a Muppet Night at the Movies.
What did you think when they showed up? I thought, I don't want to see these guys. Just show me Dog City, please.
Oh, like at all? Like seeing the cold open, you were like, I really just wish this started with Dog City.
I was like, oh God, these assholes. Yeah.
I think because it seemed like everyone's mission was to get us to Dog City, I was more okay with it as opposed to when it is a random 10, 20 minutes and then a storyteller that has nothing to do with the previous 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah, I suppose
I think
so.
at least the connective tissue was there, and I was more curious to see where it went, as opposed to they never theme Muppet Television really to match with the second half of the show, unless they're like, well, Lighthouse Island and oceans? Sure, that's water.
Not actually, but as you're saying that, it does like maybe the show would be more fun if they were like, if they did mention what the next thing was going to be and like they were more the hosts of it. Like if Jim, I guess if Jim didn't exist and the Muppets were like, we got this great show coming up. It's called Lighthouse Island. It's about this and this. We're going to do some skits for you first or something like that.
Kermit should be mad at the assignments that Jim has given him. Like, Jim says we got to do this thing to promote Lighthouse Island. So I don't know what we're supposed to do do but let's
Jim
do some fish stuff.
Jim's like JP Gross now. Jim's smoking a big cigar. He's like, Kermit, we got this great thing. Lighthouse Island.
That'd be much more
You're
interesting. Like bring in the Jim from that Muppet music video that they did for MTV where he has his like
with
slick back
awful
hair,
sunglasses on.
Yeah. Like bring that Jim in. Like I think the big cigar is
so
absolutely
funny.
right, and just be like, well, Kermit, you know what it is. We're here to talk about storyteller, so make me some dragon shit. Yeah,
or else I'll replace you with the baby version of you. You don't want that, do you?
Or a CGI version.
That would be if 80s Jim and Baby Kermit were like his bosses because Baby Kermit makes all the money. So they're like both yelling at adult Kermit. Like
they're just sitting in front of a stack of Muppet Babies merchandise.
Yeah.
Like, you haven't sold this many diapers ever in your life.
Oh, man, I hate the baby version of myself. He's such a jerk.
But this is like full-on Boss Baby Kermit, where Frank Welker turns on like his Fred voice from Scooby-Doo instead of his Kermit voice.
Human adult man.
Yeah. It's like the, whatever, Baby Huey or whatever from Roger Rabbit.
Yes, Baby Herman. Yeah.
Baby Herman.
He's not really a baby. He's just a cartoon character who looks like a baby.
Yes.
I love that.
Give me that version. Man, we just made a good show for just us and probably nobody else. But
when the show gets boring, Jim has like a dial that starts turning up the Muppet Baby theme music. He's like, Kermit, do you really want me to just start Muppet Babies right now?
Well, Jim is here in a snazzy 80s suit and tie combo. Not that far off from a nice evil boss character.
He's excited for Dog City. You can tell.
Oh, yeah. He dressed up for the occasion. He comes out to tell us how the dogs playing poker paintings inspired him to make a dog gangster movie, as if that's the most normal sentence anyone's ever said.
Yeah, it's Like, of course it did. After he said that, I was like, this makes so much sense.
Yeah. He's like, okay, so everyone knows the dog playing poker paintings, and we've all looked at those and thought, wow, that should really be a gangster
What if
movie.
it was a whole
I
movie?
am the man with the power to make all of our dreams come true.
The only one brave enough to do it.
Yeah. You've thought about it. You've written it down in your notebook. Make dog poker gangster movie. But you don't have the balls. Jim Henson's got the balls and the budget.
Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to fill up a whole episode of Jim Henson Hour, so you got to watch this first. But
he does give us a little preview, though, as we are promised suspense, violence, and more violence.
So that's like just what I was thinking. This whole beginning part was what I just said, where it's like, oh, they couldn't make enough movie to fill up the whole hour. So this especially, I think, is egregious, where it's like, here's the movie you're about to watch. Yeah, we're already watching it.
I get that, but also having seen the previous episodes, I could see a lot of people turning it off halfway through.
I suppose some people got to be like, I got to see that dog shoot a gun. Are you kidding me?
I got to see that dog sex worker.
Yeah, that too.
That's one of the highlights in the clip is a female dog being like, jump through a hoop for a quarter, sir?
Yeah.
Catch a frisbee for a dime?
Yes, there is a scene implying that the dog is a sex worker, is right. Doing tricks on the corner.
Jim lets us know. Make sure your dog is watching. I did not, by the way, just for the record.
I bet somebody did. I bet somebody was like, we got to get him in here.
I mean, if anything, I was afraid to let my dog hear it because of how many dog yelling and like howling sounds there are.
But yeah, that's right.
So my dog probably wouldn't actually enjoy seeing that.
My cat was pissed the whole time I was watching it.
I mean, does it help her to know that she could become a stunt cat?
That part made me sad because they were so mean to him. He was working the stunt cat was working so hard.
Yeah, that was an interesting premise gone very sad very quickly.
Yeah.
But before we get there, Digit has prepared an all-dog network for us. And Kermit immediately shuts this down, too. Kermit's in his no-but mode today, saying they don't need it because it's actually time to watch the movie. But Vicky interrupts to say, hey, actually, the film is lost. So this was the first sign where I was like, oh, no, I was okay if we were building up to Dog City. But for some reason, you're slowing us down and keeping us from Dog City.
What's wrong with Dog City? What's going on here?
We learned something about Vicky, though, because she says to Kermit, don't attack me. And Kermit's like, whoa, why would I attack you? And she says, well, we learned in film school, stars will sometimes go into uncontrollable rages.
We learned that she went to film school.
Yeah, so she's probably a recent graduate.
That's true.
From film school who got hired to work on this show and sees Kermit as a star, once again, showing that these are not his pals. This is not the crew that he had on the Muppet Show that he's putting together a show with. These are just some kids he hired. Which
was kind of Scooter's thing in the Muppet Show. He was just some kid that Kermit didn't really like that much.
Scooter's sitting at home watching Vicky take his job from him.
She kind of has similar hair to me and everything. What did I do wrong?
Well, JP Gross can't own a blue screen. That's the problem.
That's right.
There's no pressure to hire Scooter. Well, Kermit's panicking. The show's not going as planned, and they have to put on a different thing. And baby, that's a Muppet Show.
That's exactly right, Matt.
They finally figured it out. We talked about this in the Oceans one where we were like, all of this feels like it could set up a Muppet Show moment where things are going wrong. Kermit's panicking. He's trying to solve the problems. But in that, it's just Kermit being weirdly calm and like, it's fine, I think.
They do go back to Digit's idea of having an all-dog channel, right? Do they?
Yes, but when they go back to it, the dog's like, well, we're wrapping up for the day because we're all excited to go watch Dog City.
Yeah, that's weird. What was Digit up to?
You also have to remember, TV wasn't always 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So there were networks that would just stop at a certain point. And I like the idea that the dogs were excited to watch Dog City.
Right. The dog channel was so excited that they were like, go watch this other channel.
They don't want to compete in ratings.
There's no point. You're right.
But don't worry, Sam, because who's that on the horizon? Our hero with the long ears.
The best character. I mean, it's becoming more and more clear why he showed up so much at this time period, because obviously anybody's takeaway from the Jim Henson Hour would be that Bean Bunny is the best.
Yeah, I don't know how he didn't go on to do even more things after this, because Bean Bunny is here to save the day and let us know that he has a film coming out.
Uh-huh.
And we get a trailer for Bean Bunny in his first full-length film, Bean Bunny and the Cuteness Thief, where evil McBad is going to rid the world of cuteness.
You know, he's kind of, as you're saying this, I'm kind of like, Bean Bunny's got a little bit of Grover energy, because Grover is cute. He's a cute little monster.
You know what he is? He's a
What?
competent Grover, which is dangerous for the world.
Yes, he's a Grover with an actual film career, whereas whenever Grover is in, when Grover's in the presence of somebody famous, he turns into that like schmoozy guy. And Bean Bunny does that a little bit, but Bean Bunny also already has like big film contracts.
Right. Like Bean Bunny, it doesn't need you. He's happy to include you. But as we saw in the Sesame 20 and Still Counting, Grover's working on the streets. He's in construction. He's selling ice cream. He's got a lot of big ideas, but they're not paying off.
Yeah. He's got to try to make ends meet. But Bean comes from a lot privileged background, perhaps.
He's got a 2-picture deal going here. I like that they call it out as his first full-length film. That way we can still keep Tailed Bunny Picnic in there somewhere.
That's canon, yeah.
And they sing a song called Sometimes It's Hard to Be So Cute, which is, I think, a great... I had almost no thoughts about Bean Bunny before starting this podcast. Like, I knew Bean Bunny from Muppet Vision and his small role in Muppet Christmas Carol, and he's fine in both of those.
Makes a big impression in Muppet Christmas Carol, I would say.
Yeah, and obviously in Muppet Vision, he is a big part of the plot.
Right.
But I didn't necessarily form a ton of opinions about him, whether or not I liked or hated Bean Bunny. And we had heard all of this talk, even Muppet Vision and from other people, just saying, like, he's supposed to be, like, sickeningly cute.
Mm-hmm.
But we hadn't seen a lot of evidence necessarily to prove that.
Right.
And now I'm seeing where they're pushing that.
Yes.
And I kind of love it.
I also didn't have a lot of thoughts about him after Tales of Bunny Picnic either.
No, yeah, he just feels like an Emmett Otter. Like, you saw all there was to see, and you're not like, I can't wait for Emmett to show up on Muppets Tonight and really wow us.
Uh-huh. But yeah, it's such a good joke, basically, that it's so endlessly useful to have the annoyingly cute guy.
Well, from what I know, I think he's only in a couple episodes of Muppets Tonight, too. So
I didn't even know he was in it.
Yeah, he's only in a few episodes, but he is in Muppets of Walt Disney World. He's in Muppet Vision 3D, Muppet Christmas Carol, Muppet Treasure Island. And I think he starts to, like, get pushed to the background more and more, which is a damn shame. I'll say it.
Uh-huh. And the puppet doesn't even exist anymore, does it?
There's rumors it might. Which
he's the one who allegedly disintegrated. Somebody said he disintegrated or something.
I think at some point there was references to that puppet no longer being able to operate. But there was recently some promotional things that the Muppets were putting out for this 70 Year 70 Muppets. And in one of them, there was a photo of Bean Bunny that diehard Muppet fans were like, this photo's never existed. This is a new photo.
Oh,
we got a keen eye. And so people were saying that it seems like a new Bean Bunny puppet does exist.
Yeah. Okay.
And then about a week or two after that was happening is when they announced that the new Muppet Show was coming.
Oh. So we might get Bean. Probably a recast Bean, I would guess.
I would have to imagine. I just, stranger things have happened, but I feel like there has been no rumors around Steve Whitmire, reconciling with the Muppets. So unless that has happened and no one has told us, we'll see. But I imagine if they're bringing back a ton of characters for this new Muppet Show, they're going to want Rizzo and Bean there.
I would have a hard time thinking Seth Rogen wouldn't want Rizzo on the Muppet Show. That just seems like a Seth Rogen character to me.
Well, it's just, I think it's also that you have to acknowledge the popularity of some of these characters, and if you're doing a Muppet Show, it really is it's a greatest hits. If you're doing one of these, especially that you're trying to use as like a backdoor pilot, you just have to like bring back certain characters.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of unanswered questions about that pilot, obviously, but I'd be
There's
very
not even
curious
like a
to
time frame it's going to come out or anything like that.
I think next year is all they've said.
Okay.
But also, Bean Bunny's not done. He lets us know this is a double feature, Grindhouse style. And the second half, he's really excited about because it goes against his sweet, cute image. Because he's playing Beanbo, a Rambo parody, where we see someone gunning down prairie dogs from a helicopter, and Bean Bunny steps in to fire a bazooka at the helicopter and take it down.
Rage has a new voice, is what the guy says.
Yeah. Anger has a new name. Rage has a new voice. Revenge has a new face. Beanbo, now cute, has learned to kill.
Great. Beanbo is not a good name, but I forgive it.
Rambean is worse.
Rambean is worse. Rambean is evocative, perhaps. I don't know. I can't think too hard about Rambean.
There's so much violence in this hour of television.
There's a lot of gunfire.
A lot of gunfire.
More
Jim
than
Henson.
any other Muppet thing we've ever seen. That's right. I think it almost has to certainly be more gunfire than we've ever seen, because Bean has a machine gun and a bazooka. I think that alone probably puts it over the top.
Well, and then every character in Dog City has a gun. After the Beanbo trailer, which I will admit was just keeping us from Dog City, but in a positive way in my heart, we do learn that the All Dog Network is back on the air, reporting that Kermit is going back on his promise to show us Dog City.
What a weird thing to have on the news.
You know, if it's an All Dog Network, it's not, I imagine, a big news day every day for dogs.
That's probably true, yeah.
Especially pre-internet. You're not learning about every dog that's out there. But they do have some behind-the-scenes footage of Dog City to share with all of us, which at first I thought might just be real Dog City behind the scenes.
I think I was a little disappointed that it wasn't.
I think we might get some of that in the Secret of the Muppets special that we'll get later on.
That makes sense.
But what this is a fake behind-the-scenes segment where we learn that most stunt dogs in the business are actually cats.
Yeah.
And this, Sam, this felt good to me. I liked this.
Yeah, me too. It felt good to you in what, like, you mean like the Muppets are back, baby kind of way, or what do you?
Yeah,
what do you
like
mean?
if this was the first episode we watched the Jim Henson Hour,
yes,
with this Muppet Television leading into this Dog City, I'd be
true.
like, cool, I'm looking forward to watching this show.
Yep, you're right. It's hard for me to put aside what we've seen already, but yes, if this was the first Muppet Television we'd ever seen, we would have been like, this makes sense.
Yeah,
Kermit works at a TV station. He's trying to get a show on. That's exactly right.
And it is leading towards that thing of, like, they all know they have a thing to show later on that is not necessarily something they made, but is their job is to promote this thing. And they're trying to build to it. Yeah. And I enjoy the elements where Kermit's panicking, trying to figure things out. I enjoy that Bean Bunny's kind of playing sort of the Gonzo or Fozzie role, where he comes in and he's like, I have a solution that doesn't actually help you with your problem at all, but it will.
Not helpful.
Yeah, it will fill time and show off my skills.
He's certainly more helpful than Leon.
Yeah, we get a weird lack of other Muppet Television characters.
Yeah.
In this one, that's the other thing I think. Relating to the Muppet Show to this is that they feel disposable because often they are disposed of. Like week to week, you're not sitting there thinking, what's Leon up to this week?
It also feels like the kind of thing like Jim lost the rights to the other Muppets or something like that.
It does feel a little bit like that. Like he was in the middle of a weird deal and was like, all right, you can have everyone but Kermit.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, we want Beauregard. It's like, really? I wanted to keep Beauregard. He's like, no, you can kind of make a version of Beauregard, but we want the real guy.
Make a tiny Beauregard, but
no, I enjoyed the stunt dog cat thing. One, because it was a fake behind the scenes thing for a real thing, and just sort of the meta layer to that I enjoy.
Yeah.
But also when you start thinking about a Muppet wearing a costume that looks just like another
that
Muppet's
looks exactly
skin.
the same. That was tripping me up a little bit.
Yeah, it's like a double puppet.
Yeah.
But the cat is also built to look much more realistic than most other Muppets.
Right.
It's closer to like a Creature Shop style puppet.
As are a lot of these dogs in Dog City.
Very true.
One
they got
notable exception.
I'd say there's a couple notable exceptions.
Yeah, I guess that's
mostly
true.
in the eyes. They get weird sometimes.
Yeah.
But the costume looks like a Muppet, and there's a cat Muppet inside of it. And I don't know. The whole joke here is that he's talking about how, the dogs on set respect him and it's actually a nice working environment. And then what we see is the dogs actually hate this cat and keep hurting him on purpose.
But he's doing an important job. It got a little too mean, I think, when they were like, they hit him with a hammer or something like that, don't they?
They do just beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
But again, the theme this week is violence, I think. We see a lot of violence in Dog City.
But yeah, I agree with you that this worked. This worked in a way that no other skit, like everything so far, has worked in a way that nothing, like literally nothing else we've seen on Muppet Television has worked at all.
I think it just, having it connect in any way is better.
Mm-hmm.
And just having it feel like the Muppets don't know what's coming up next and don't acknowledge it is something that I didn't realize was weird until we have seen the alternative. One thing that I think, as much as I did love everything tying together here, that I don't think works super well is that Vicky just finds the film and decides to get it set up. And the whole, oh my God, the film is lost thing is not actually really a problem at all, and just sort of gets fixed without us knowing how or why.
It was just sitting around somewhere, right?
Right. Like, oh, I guess it was propping up the couch or something. Would have been even like a little better.
Or what, the movie like wasn't done yet or something, and then at the end Rolf runs in and he's like, "Here, we just finished it. Play." He
bikes in on his little bike or something. Like, here you go, Kermit.
His huge piano bike. Yeah. I don't even know what the ending could have been besides, I guess, we found it. But that's such a classic Muppet Television thing of like, I guess this is just done now.
And that's why I think, like, because everything else was better, I was hoping that one plot point could also be a bit better. But Sam, we are here. We've made it. Pull on over. What's that sign say? Welcome to Dog City.
Dog City.
Everybody wants to go.
Me and Matt were talking about how that song's been stuck in our head for just ever.
Since we watched this again. This whole week has been the Dog City theme song, which I think I love. I can't tell.
The second time I watched it, I was like, this song sucks. It just gets stuck in my head.
I think the problem that I discovered when they play it over the closing credits was, this is a really 80s song for a really 30s special.
That's exactly what I wrote too, was like, this does not sound like the 30s. And when the other musical number in this is such a 30s throwback.
Yeah.
Like, they could have just changed the instrumentation up a little bit, and I think it would have sounded more like I think they were going for it, but it was not. They didn't hit the nail on the head.
It feels like a thing that is just sort of a given most of the time when you're talking like movies or TV shows. If you're making a period piece, everything needs to feel pretty of the time.
Right.
And so, if you're making Pride and Prejudice, you're not going to make a big Transformer style intro graphic for like you're not going to have Linkin Park on the soundtrack or something. If you want it to feel of the time, lean into that. And so I think watching this the first time, that song set it up nicely where I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. There's a lot of like little fun details in the opening number. And then getting through it, getting to the end and realizing that the rest of it did feel pretty much in the 30s. That song is jarring to switch back to. It gives us a good look around the town and gives us some insight into this confounding world that we are living in here with Dog City.
This world wouldn't work at all. And it smells crazy in Dog City.
There's also just a lot of things that I think I am, again, on board for because they don't force you to think about them too much. But there's a lot of details just thrown in that they really are hoping you don't question. It's sort of like Cars. When you talk about the Cars world, if you start digging, they're like, no. Don't ask how these cars got made. Don't ask why this world is built like a human world, but just happens to be dogs. Don't ask why that blind dog has a seeing eye cat.
Oh, I missed that completely.
It's in. I caught it on the second time. It's in the opening number. A blind dog walks by with a seeing eye cat, and then later on they talk about eating cats.
Okay, I'm gonna lay it out on the table. I'm not a dog person. I think dogs are annoying. So
come for him, everyone! Drag this man.
Watching this, I was like, yeah. This all makes sense. Dogs are stupid and annoying, so their whole town would be stupid and annoying. So everything that they do that's stupid and annoying is just like that. Totally tracks.
Of course, they're dogs.
Dog City would be awful because dogs don't know how to do anything for themselves, and they're stupid and annoying.
Wow. I mean, as a dog owner, I will mostly disagree with you.
I mean, cats are stupid and annoying too. They're just small enough that you can be like, you're going over here for a while.
Yeah.
And a dog
And
is more
occasionally
like,
you'll get a cat that just doesn't give a shit about you, and really
right.
you're just a roommate who feeds them. But other
Yeah.
than that, they don't care about you, which
Yeah.
sometimes if if you want that, could be great.
Yeah. That's what I don't want to, I don't need to be something's dad. I just need to
I
be something's friend.
I am sometimes envious of people with cats who can leave for longer periods of time.
Yeah, for
because
more than like 6 hours or something.
yeah, like our dog doesn't get to be alone that long because she'll go nuts.
But yeah, I think for me it was there were definitely, I can't think of any examples of anything, but there were things where I was like, that's weird, but dogs are weird and annoying. So this tracks.
There's a moment in this that I'm wondering how it resonated with you.
Okay.
We'll get to.
Okay.
Seeing
Did you like Dog City?
I think I liked Dog City.
I think I did too. I think the second time I liked it better, and the second time I just think I couldn't help but compare it too much to Emmett Otter. And if I was Jim Henson, I would say I've been chasing that Emmett Otter high my whole career. Like, that's the best. That to me, I think, is literally the best thing he's ever made. Like, there's stuff I like better than Emmett Otter, but I think Emmett Otter is the best because it has the element of it that I think puts it above Dog City is the heart of it, which Dog City has absolutely no heart at all.
It is like Jim rewatched Emmett Otter. It was like, how do I recapture this magic? And he's like, what if the entire cast was the River Bottom Nightmare Band?
Yeah.
He's like, and that's what people really liked from that special. So let's just make the entire thing that.
Right. Colleen, I think it's close to having something, but it's just like when Ace is explaining his history and he's like the duck puppet. The second time I watched it, I was just like, this is complete nonsense. What is going? What are they?
Yeah, I feel like what's weird is like you talked about how it the Muppet Television segment feels like they didn't have enough Dog City to fill the hour, and so they had to stretch.
Yeah.
But what I've felt watching Dog City was I feel like you had to cut out a lot of good ideas.
You need a couple more scenes of Dog City. Yeah.
Yeah, because they set up, it's really, to me, a thing of two halves. Like the first half of Dog City, I was like, hell yeah, this rules. I'm on board. And then everything sort of slowly drifts off a cliff in the second half. And some things that you thought were really important don't come up again, or come up in really like ham-fisted ways where you're like, okay, we're doing this with the duck puppet, I guess. I thought it was going to be like an emotionally resonant moment, but it's just a gag.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you liked Dog City.
Yeah, it felt like a return to form in some ways to me. Like they still know what they're doing. Not that I ever really didn't think they did because the storyteller is so good, but I just think like it was so elaborate and so unashamedly full of puppets in a way that maybe we don't see elaborate, or we don't see ashamedly full of puppets all that often these days, I feel like. Because storyteller is humans mostly.
Right.
And Muppet Television is not elaborate at all. So it was just refreshing to see. And the sets were great. It really, a bunch of times I got like this was like a practice run for Muppet Christmas Carol. I know it wasn't, but there's a lot, like especially in the Dog City, in the intro theme song, the ways that they're shooting the town and the ways that there's little guys doing stuff in the background and just like building this world up really fast with the song felt very much like the intro of Muppet Christmas Carol to me.
Yeah, no, I totally see that. And I think, similarly sort of like, cobblestone streets and the whole town coming together to sing a song to sort of let you know what the deal is.
Yeah.
I can see that. I like what you said about it feeling sort of like, unashamed that it's just all puppets, because I didn't even think about that watching it, but it is a lot of puppets, and it is a whole puppet show. And it's not only, Fraggle Rock was also a whole puppet show, but this is a whole puppet show committing to a whole new world that you've never seen before. You have a whole new list of characters. We have Rolf there as a nice constant, but outside of that, this is getting back to that Emmett Otter, Tales from Muppet Land, the world of Musicians of Bremen, this kind of thing where you get a familiar face to introduce you to this world, but otherwise you have to sort of live in this world and accept its rules.
Yeah. Yeah. And Rolf is like as I was watching it, I was like, should Rolf have even been there? Like he doesn't match the other puppets so much that it's kind of like, what's he doing there? But then at the same time, it's like, Rolf, if they hadn't, Ralph has to be in this. He spent his whole career talking about being a dog. He's got to be there.
Yeah, no, I'm glad he's there. I think he serves as a good narrator for this, and
he's funny too.
Yeah, there's a couple jokes that you can see coming a mile away, but because it's Rolf, you forgive him.
Things are a joke that it didn't register to me as jokes at all.
Like, ooh, which one?
Like the Mutton Jeff joke at the end. What is Mutton Jeff? Is that just that Jeff comic strip?
Like, yeah. That one and the sweeping dogs lie joke was quite the stretch.
That was the one where he's like, I know the guy who wrote the script. Is that right?
Yeah.
That guy was crazy. I think Rolf was just like scared of that guy or something.
Well, yeah, because you got to let sweeping dogs lie.
Yeah.
So he gets to lie and he's sweeping.
I like that part because it sounded like something I would say where he was like, in the next scene, Ace is going to get killed.
Yeah.
What?
He's got big, my uncle works at Nintendo energy.
Yeah. Just starting it with, I know the guy who wrote the script was so funny. And like,
yeah. One of the few moments where they're really calling attention to this being a production.
One of my favorite things was when Bugsy Them shows up and Rolf's like, and he holds up the newspaper that just says Bugsy Them. And he's like, they print the same newspaper every day and you fill in the blank of what crime he committed. That was awesome.
He also, we'll get into the jokes of this, but Rolf is like, yeah, Bugsy Them. That's right, folks. Another cheap joke name.
The names did annoy me a little bit.
You know what annoys me the most? The character of Ace U and his whole everything.
Yes, I think that honestly was my biggest problem too, was I hated that guy. He was the most annoying of everybody in the whole thing.
Well, the special opens up in the dog room, which is this restaurant bar.
The dog house.
The dog house, which makes a lot more sense than the dog
Your dog
room,
only gets a room, Matt? That's fucked up.
I mean, the dog doesn't get a whole house. So we get into the dog house, this bar restaurant thing, where we see Sprocket getting thrown out.
His body is distressingly tiny too.
He's got like a little kid body on a Sprocket head, which was upsetting.
And all I could think of was him ripping Sprocket's puppet's head off. Ugh. I think when he shows up in Muppet Christmas Carol, he's got like live hands. He's appropriately sized. I'm pretty sure, right?
But I think he's a little humanoid still. I think he might be wearing like a coat or something.
He's wearing clothes for sure, but he is like a live hand puppet.
He's not like a Wienerville Sprocket.
No, you know what? Wienerville's been coming up a lot for me lately for some reason.
Wienerville was on my list of birthday watches.
I keep seeing clips of Wienerville.
Wow, I don't see clips of Wienerville ever, but
I think YouTube wants me to watch Wienerville clips. And then I was watching an old episode of Mystery Science Theater with the commercials in it, and Wienerville popped up. Like pre-Wienerville, Mark Wiener or whatever that guy's name was. Anyway.
That's his name. His name is Mark Wiener.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could get Mark Wiener on this podcast.
Oh, we could. I wonder if he would be if he'd have a little body. If I was him,
he's got a Zoom filter that just makes that happen.
Yeah. If I was him, if I did a Zoom podcast, I would definitely bring my little body.
He knows what the people want.
Yeah. Why not do it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know anything about Mark Wiener and what he's done in the past 30 years. So who knows what Mark Wiener is up to? But for people who are extremely confused right now, Wienerville was a show that was on Nickelodeon in the 90s where Mark Wiener had a bunch of puppets, and some of them were just people's heads on little like baby bodies. And there was like a game show element where people from the audience would have to be part of this sometimes. But most famously was Boney, a dinosaur puppet who was just the skeleton of a thing. And he was like an Oscar the Grouch. Where he'd say, I'm Boney, leave me alone. That was me unlocking Sam's brain and remembering that existed.
I haven't thought about Boney specifically.
Boney's so gross looking. But yeah, it's a very weird show that did exist. And as far as I know, it was just like the fever dream of Mark Wiener come to life.
Well, so I think the thing I was watching was from 1991, the Mystery Science Theater, and that was pre-Wienerville. So that was something he was doing as a stand-up comedian, I guess, having a little body, which is fun.
He was also on Saturday Night Live. He had some characters, Rocco Wieneretto.
Okay.
We're so far down the Wiener hole right now. that it seems like it's just his other characters he had where like the fist was the head of a character instead of your head is the character.
Yep, right.
Also more interesting to find out that what's Mark Wiener been up to since he left Wienerville? He's been the voice of Swiper on everything Dora ever.
That's great. Oh, man. So you do know Mark Wiener, even if you don't know, you know.
Yeah. But getting back to Dog City and out of Wienerville, two cities probably next to each other, we'll meet Ace U. Last name YU, which will be a joke for the rest of the thing. And it is the second worst joke that is a running gag in the special.
What's the first one?
But what if he didn't?
I kind of like that.
Oh, the fifth time they're like, well, he's going to find out, but what if he didn't? He'll find out, but what if he didn't? And then when he starts to talk to the duck puppet is when I was like, no, we're done.
Yeah. The thing I liked about the what if he didn't thing was when Bugsy shows up and the little dog is like, see, I told you. And then he says, but what if he hadn't? I thought that was kind of fun.
I don't know. It's an interesting thing to like have it be a running gag that then your movie acknowledges is boring. Right. It's like Rolf's like, we got to go to break because this sucks.
He's broken. Yeah.
But yes, it's when we meet Ace U, the new owner of the doghouse, who didn't know he had an Uncle Harry. Turns out, spoilers, it's actually his dad that he also didn't know
for some
existed.
Reason. Why wasn't his dad part of his life? We never learn any of this.
Yeah, the dad stuff really feels important when it's first revealed.
Yeah.
And then doesn't ever come up again. Yeah. We're just sort of told, actually, Bugsy killed my dad.
Yeah.
And now I need revenge of some sort. But then never, like later on, is there an Inigo Montoya confrontation moment.
Right.
But I did like when he's trying to ask Bubba the bartender what happened to Harry. He's like, how? And all the dogs start howling. And he's like, how? And they start howling again. He goes, in what manner did he die?
It's because dogs are annoying. All makes sense. I like when he goes up to talk to Bubba the bartender at first, and he's like, are you Bubba? And Bubba's wearing a button and an apron that both say Bubba, and he covers them both up with his hands.
Yeah. It's like, who's asking? And of course, the thing we've referenced is he's like, I'm you. And it's like, you're me. What? How are you me? Yeah. And so there's a lot of who's on first jokes. And then they introduce Bugsy them as the villain, which just leads to more pronoun jokes.
At least you could conceivably, is a last name. Them, that's where it kind of lost me a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and also, he came from a Pekingese family.
Yeah.
He could have a Chinese last name.
Yes.
Like
that all tracks.
Yeah.
They go out of their way to
makes a lot of
that.
sense.
They go out of their way to explain that. They do explain that quite a bit, actually, more than almost anything else in the whole movie.
Yeah, they do. The word Pekingese, that's your Dog City drinking game. Just drink anytime they say the word Pekingese and you'll have a good night. But we learned that Harry died because he put on a lead swimsuit by mistake and then accidentally stabbed himself on the way off the roof.
That's the official story, at least.
Mm-hmm. The real story is that Harry wouldn't pay them for profits from the doghouse. And then that's when we get the other, why wouldn't he pay them? You see where this would go.
Yes, yeah.
Another strand in this special that doesn't really go anywhere but gets mentioned a lot is Ace wanting to use the profits to build an orphanage. They don't even, as far as I remember, really tie this into him having a rough life and wanting to make it better for kids in the future. I don't really know.
Yeah, I think I read that into it in my intro, but you're right. Wasn't necessarily...
He just sort of states that he wants to make this happen. And I think you're just supposed to assume that, I guess it's because he's an orphan.
Yeah. And it's a noble thing, I suppose. So
he's like a Batman that's not going quite far enough to like make his point.
Yeah. He's nonviolent too.
Yeah, they have the same
violent,
policies.
I suppose.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't have quite the same principles, I guess.
Yeah.
But we get to meet Bugsy, the villain of the piece, a new Jim Henson voice.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Henson doing a little bit of a Brando voice. And
he's unlocked a third voice.
Yeah, even if it does, when he laughs, sound exactly like Ernie.
Yep.
Which he only does, I think, once maybe in this whole special. But he's doing this voice. I like senseless violence. And he's like... And you're like,
but
okay.
That's a great gangster laugh, I would say, though. Sneaky little...
Yeah, it totally works.
A dog and a gangster. It's like Muttley.
I also love this puppet because he's got jowls that
the way that the
wiggle.
jowls shake around is great.
You don't know. I feel like you don't. When you see this sort of, there's a word for it, but like this passive action, this continued action on a Muppet. It's a thing they try to do with hair and feathers and stuff. So there's like something's always moving on a Muppet. That's even if you stop the Muppet suddenly, the hair will continue or something. This is a good version of that with the flaps on his face that I feel like we haven't seen anything like that before. Yeah,
I'm really curious to know some of the thought process behind building these puppets, and because I assume a lot of these dogs, because I think you see some of these dogs in later productions. I mean, I know you do.
Yeah.
And I'm just so curious why they had Rolf, or they had a photorealistic way to go with it, and they went with the more realistic way, and then put Rolf in it, because none of them are like cartoony looking dogs or anything like that. Which I guess I can understand why they did that, but I just think it's so interesting that the Rolf version of a Muppet, the Don Salin thing, that doesn't exist anymore. It feels like when building new Muppets. Clifford, I think, does fall into that. I think he is a Don Salin-esque Muppet, but for the most part, that's just like not something they think about anymore. And I wonder if it's like it's hard to design a character that way, and it's easier to make a dog that looks like a dog, or just what they were thinking when they were making these characters.
Well, and I think it's interesting that when we have seen Rolf around other dog-looking dogs, it's usually to separate him out from them, as you know, he's running the kennel, or he is, you know, around other dogs like Sprocket, and he's the one who can speak English. It's usually to say that, like, oh yeah, he's a dog, but he's a different dog from those dogs.
He's kind of a person dog.
Yeah, like
he's
the other dogs usually don't speak English.
Right.
Whereas
he's a Muppet dog, and other Muppet dogs are sometimes, I think you're supposed to just think they're dogs. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Like, he is taking care of other dogs in the kennel, or he is interacting with Sprocket in a way where everyone's like, okay, we've got two dogs in front of us.
Right.
But we can have a conversation with Rolf. We can drink a beer with Rolf. I'm not going to give beer to Sprocket because I think that might be illegal.
You can give Sprocket a beer. He'd be all right.
But I think this is, you know, combining them into one thing where they're all speaking English. They're all interacting as characters. It is a little bit more jarring to have Rolf next to an ACU and say that, like, these are both Muppets, and shh, don't think about it too much. There's a moment here when Bugsy first confronts Ace in the doghouse that I think is genuinely upsetting because he calls Ace a bad dog.
Oh, yeah, I liked this part.
And he starts beating him with a newspaper.
And you see it in shadow, like he's like viciously beating him.
The dogs in the bar are all reacting as if he's, you know, stepping on his face with a boot. Like, he's like genuinely a lot of violence happening here. And Rolf even says, like, oh, 3's the limit. Any more than that would be senseless. And since Bugsy Them's whole thing is senseless violence, he does hit him 2 more times with the newspaper before Miss Bell pulls him off.
Yeah. I almost thought like that took some of the impact away from when they bring guns out later. That feels like a little, I don't know, like it feels like they're less scared of getting shot at by guns than they are of getting hit by this newspaper. But I thought that was such a nice, like, the way that it's shot is so like noir, classic noir. That part was like, I think that was maybe the best execution of this idea in the whole special, probably.
I totally agree. I think that was the moment where I was like, I could watch a series of this.
Yeah.
Like, I know eventually we get a cartoon version, which I imagine is quite different. But I think for me, that was a moment where I could feel like they chose to go the more real route because they knew it would be more emotionally effective. But I think your note about the guns is totally right, because the guns are treated as a joke every time they're pulled out. And no one, I guess, rarely is a gun fired in this movie. They are pulled out quite often.
Yeah.
But I do think the moment near the end where Bugsy just starts shooting a machine gun into the air is pretty jarring, because not a lot of people have actually shot guns.
Right. Like, can people be shot in this universe? I guess we don't actually really know.
I thought we were going to see it. When he breaks out that secret gun at the end, I thought for sure we were going to get ACU getting shot.
At least wounded.
Who got shot? You got shot. I'm shot? Oh no. I gotta go to the hospital.
I think what you're saying about the I think I would have maybe, I don't want to sound negative because I did have fun watching this, but I do think if they had cranked it up a little bit more towards the realistic and a little bit less towards the like constant puns, that maybe this would have been more, that would have maybe would stick with me longer than I think it's probably going to.
Yeah, it is just like I think there's too many ideas in one thing, and some of them just fall off and don't go anywhere. And other ones are, I feel like, being over the head with like, oh, we're back to this running gag. I guess we have to keep doing that.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe it's just weirdly paced and a little bit unbalanced in places.
Yeah, totally.
Well, Ace tells us he used to be a shepherd, which I guess is, laying out that he both actually was a shepherd and is probably a German shepherd as a dog. And there's a weird backstory where he's like, you bark until one day the sheep laugh at you, and then you get a bat, and then you get a gun. And when they started talking about landmines, I knew it was time to get out of the shepherd business.
This didn't quite land with me. I wasn't sure. It seems like a reference to something really specific, maybe, or I don't know. But his backstory and that being the reason that he's nonviolent is because some sheep were mean to him, I guess, is like, were the sheep trying to kill him, or was he chasing them around, hitting them with a bat, trying to get them to go where he wanted them to go?
I think he was trying to use the weapons to control them.
Like the metaphor didn't bear out to me as a reason why he would be nonviolent.
And I'm not familiar enough with the Godfather sequence of films to understand if this is a reference to any of the characters in that movie.
Yeah, I don't know either. But I guess they couldn't say like I was in the army. Well, I guess they could say I was in the army. He would have fought. Well, I guess he would have fought in World War I or something. I don't know. But every backstory Ace tells just like deflates the movie, I think.
Yeah, agreed. I think he slows it down. I think his jokes are the worst. I think it's often, it's like he's talking because he feels like he's supposed to talk.
Right.
But isn't actually helping anything.
Right. There's one part where Colleen is like, you're weird. And when she says that, I was like, he is weird. What's wrong with this guy?
Well, and if we had leaned into him being weirder or more of a dope and useless, that could be funny. Because ultimately he doesn't do much because of his passive, personality. And Colleen has to save the day. So... if they played into that a bit more, as opposed to just making him a stubborn, I'm not going to do anything ever character, he'd be more interesting.
Yes. Yeah. Every scene with him, especially like when he and Colleen are talking about what to do, there's never any like resolution because he's just like, I'm not going to do anything.
Well, and the one time he really uses violence is at the end. He shoves the door open into Bugsy, pushing him into the water, and it's not made a big deal. Like, they don't call a lot of attention to the fact that, like, Ace, you just use violence.
Right. And it feels like it's going to be like Roadhouse, where at the end he uses the exploding heart technique or whatever, or like he pulls the guy's throat out or whatever he does. It does feel like at the end they've built it up so that Ace, it knows this martial art that he's refusing to use or something like that.
Yes, it's called Why I Oughta, which is the one time he slips into an unfortunate Pekingese accent in this.
Yeah, when he says it the first time, and then the fighting technique is him and Bugsy going why I oughta, which I thought was it didn't need that first joke, I don't think, because that's such a good way for two gangsters to be like why I oughta. I thought that was pretty good. Yeah,
to be fair, the whole Pekingese couple raising him thing could have been much, much worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they bring it up so often that you're like, ooh, what's going to happen here? But it only goes as far as like using the name Yu for the last name because his adopted father's name was Howie Yu, and he wears a traditional Pekingese bow in his hair because he's a pink bow in the ancient Pekingese art of Why I Oughta.
Him having the pink bow under his hat was pretty fun too. I like that.
Again, there's like a fun layer underneath a stubborn layer.
Yeah.
And if the stubborn layer was a thing that got peeled back to reveal the like fun guy underneath,
right,
that would be fine. But the stubborn layer is the real guy.
Yeah, and it's annoying.
But we do get to see him going to bed, which just felt kind of odd for one of these movies to like see a character in his pajamas.
But then you think about like the fact that he's getting into bed. What is the puppetry behind that? That's crazy.
He also kicks off his shoes. But he says, before you sleep, turn once around or else you'll wake up in the pound.
Cute. I like that.
Is the pound jail?
I think it's worse than jail, probably. I feel like Dog City exists in a world where human cities also still exist. and they're just like,
That's what that was gonna be my next question was, are humans in this world at all, or is this purely a dog world?
I think this is just a dog city in a world where there's all kinds of other stuff going on outside the walls of Dog City.
Is it our world? Like, is Dog City outside Chicago? Or is it like there's Cat City, there's Human City, there's Hamster City?
I think there's at least a Cat City, but I do think it looks largely like our world. And yes, it's near Chicago, and everybody's like, don't go to Dog City. We're letting them do whatever they want over there.
There's an alternate version of The Untouchables. Yeah. Where it's about Kevin Costner trying to bring down Bugsy them. Maybe it's in The Untouchables. Maybe Kevin Costner is like anti-violence because that came out just a couple years before this.
Oh, I don't know. I think he loves blowing people away.
Well, suddenly there's a noise outside, so Ace runs out and spots Colleen Barker looking for food in the alleyway. But while they're out there, oh, my dog, his business is on fire.
Colleen Barker, another Muppet I have a crush on? Maybe.
I knew it. I knew it. The way I feel like there was a tone in your voice when you called her a collie in your intro there.
Could be.
That I was like, I feel like we're going to file this next to Afghan Hound in the Muppet Dogs Sam has a crush on.
Fills a lot of the same boxes. Yeah. Maybe
Dog,
I just have a...
Sexy. Check.
Maybe I just have a crush on Fran Brill. That could be the real answer.
There is a couple times we allude to Ace pissing in this special that I don't enjoy.
That's right, and Colleen is the implication is that she's gonna piss as well at one point too.
It's very weird because when the fire starts, she's like, "Where's your nearest hydrant?" And he said, "There's no time for that. We have a fire to fight."
Yeah, she's gonna go piss on it.
It's like they were both gonna go piss. Like we don't have time to go piss.
And he pees his pants. Fire. And then he pees his pants later.
Let's jump ahead to the end here. They are driving the car. They almost crash off of a pier. Mm-hmm. And Colleen says, "Oh my, we almost got wet." And Ace says, "What do you mean, almost?" And looks down at his lap.
Then they look at each other and start laughing.
Yeah, I think Ace just pissed his pants.
But you know what? I think a dog is perfectly allowed to piss their pants.
Not when you're in a car.
I think in Dog City, everything has piss all over it, and that's not a problem for anybody.
Right. It's just very common that they're like many a dog, if they're just mid-stride, they'll just stop and pee if they need to go. They don't know it's rude. So yeah, I guess that the floor of the doghouse is just sticky.
Instead of spilled beer and peanuts, it's like piss and shit, basically.
Oh God.
Sorry
to everyone who just turned off the podcast.
It would be so gross.
You're not wrong. I just hate thinking about it. Well, Colleen put the fire out. This is where we learn about Ace's pink bow in his hair, and he tells us the whole backstory of his Pekingese, family that adopted him. The story of the furry blob that would wave a toy or a puppet in front of him, saying,
"Feels
cluck,
like fully
cluck,
half of the episode is this story about the blob with the puppet."
It does that annoying thing where they should have introduced this much earlier and paid it off much later, because what it does is he's like, "There's a furry blob that would wave a toy or a puppet or something in front of me saying, cluck, cluck, cluck. I'm a little duck. His name was Quackers." And then she's like, "Oh my God, just like me." And he says, "You were an orphan too?" And she says, "Sort of. My folks are accountants."
I don't get it.
I don't really think it's a
good
joke.
Do accountants not pay attention to their children?
Or do they not make a lot of money? I'm not really sure what they're trying to say there. Mm-hmm. But almost immediately, we find the duck puppet, and Ace finds out that Harry was actually his father.
Yeah, like in the same scene. I don't know. Yeah. There's like one camera cut between him telling the story.
And this duck puppet? It's like, oh yeah, that is the thing I was just talking about from my childhood that I just remembered existed. Thank you for finding it. Oh, hey, this tag says, "Hey, I'm your dad."
Yeah, there's a tag on it that says, "Hey, I'm your dad." It's great.
That was sort of I think that's like literally like the tipping point for me of like everything before then, good. Everything after that, a little weaker.
He could have dreamt about the blob, and not showing the blob and the duck also it just seems like that would have been a lot easier than him trying to explain what the hell he's talking about and sounding crazy. Yes. If he had fallen asleep for a second and dreamed about this blob.
You know what ACU needs to be? And he almost is, and maybe they thought he was.
What?
Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah, definitely. Whoever wrote this loved Naked Gun. I think,
but didn't really know how to write a Naked Gun.
Yes, there are several jokes in here that are like not ripoffs necessarily, but are like, that's a Naked Gun joke, obviously.
But I think something about the character of Ace U isn't the right kind of character.
He just looks so dignified that it doesn't, like, Leslie Nielsen looks dignified but also like insane. So
I think he's just not stupid enough.
Yeah, that too.
Like, he needs to be actively stupider and not just coincidentally stupid in the moment, or Colleen happened to save the day first. Like, he does not seem inept. He just seems too stubborn and a little slow to take action.
Right. He's like the smartest dog in Dog City, but that doesn't help. He's still
yeah. Well, they don't even, like, you know, nobody really calls him out for being this sort of like overly passive nerd. Like, they're not like
right.
They're not being like, oh wow, well, good luck with that. Like,
right.
I don't know. It's just ACU just isn't enough of anything.
Well, Colleen kind of does, because she's like, I don't know what I'd do if somebody murdered my dad, snuffed him out like a match. Like, she's trying to egg him on a little bit.
Yeah, this is when they randomly go to the docks for some reason after they put out the fire, and they're just kind of hanging out at the docks while Bugsy and his dogs try to kill them. And yeah, he's trying to get out of the mind of how Bugsy killed his father, and Colleen won't let it go and just keeps bringing up all the ways of like, oh yeah, wow, really killed your dad, huh? Bugsy holding up his binoculars was pretty funny.
The mat that was just the binocular shaped mat. I thought
he's
so
just got
too,
a black like piece of cardstock with holes cut out,
and it shows through the camera where you can. Yeah, I was like, who's gonna get that? Like, what? Who's that for?
No one but us.
Showbiz
maybe.
People, I guess. Yeah.
We get more pushback from Ace as Colleen really is trying to push him to fight back,
to do something,
to do anything, and he's like, I will not. I am against violence, and I only care about orphans. But all I could think about was, hey, this set is really great.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great big dock set. It's really impressive to have all the people in the background and the cars driving around. I was hoping actually more of the signs would be more interesting in the background, because I would like pause and try to read all the things, but a lot of them were just like dog hotel.
I was gonna say exactly the same example. I don't know if there actually is one that says that, but yeah, it's just like dog store, bones here.
The only one that was clever was the In Heat Hotel with two N's in in.
That's nasty.
A little bit, but that's not the last nasty thing we'll talk about.
Okay.
Because we got some nastiness coming up. Ace brings Colleen back to the doghouse, and she offers to perform to pay for her drink. And so we get a request to Rolf for a certain song, which leads to him saying a very weird line where he says, of course, my real name is Rolf Blind Jellied Eel the dog.
Yeah, what does that mean?
I could not even begin to guess. It seemed like maybe like a bluesy name kind of reference.
I guess so.
But if they were singing like a real song that maybe was written by somebody named Blind Jellied Eel or something, I don't know. It was just very, very strange. But Colleen sings a song called The Dog's Best Friend. And while the Dog City theme has been stuck in my head for a week, this one escaped my brain immediately because it's bad. It's a bad song.
I know, it's all right. It's about having sex with different kinds of dogs.
It kind of is. And the section that is most notable says, don't care if he's a big dog. I don't care if he's rich. He'll be my ever-loving puppy, and I'll just be his.
Yeah, it was
Rolf interjects to say, welcome to family programming, folks. But she then gets immediately kidnapped after she finishes her song. And we get a new running gag that I did enjoy, where Ace just goes, doggone. So Bugsy calls and says, bring 10,000 bones to the old warehouse at midnight tonight, or I'll spray paint her teeth, glue her ears together, and tie a knot in her tongue twice.
Spray paint her teeth is a crazy thing to say.
He's a senseless violence man, Sam.
Is that something people do to dogs?
I don't think so.
Okay.
They also don't glue their ears together.
No, it's just a crazy thing to say.
It's just a senseless violence. But Ace tries to get the people in the bar to come with him. His rally cry is, he can't kill all of us. So everyone runs away. Earlier, by the way, there's a moment earlier when Ace is going on about something and everyone in the bar leaves and Bubba's like the last one to wander out. And as he wanders out, he's like, hey, yeah, good night, Ace. There's horse chunks in the fridge if you get hungry.
Hey, sometimes dogs eat horse chunks.
So since everyone ran away, he starts to talk to his duck, Quackers, the puppet. And that was the first moment where I was sort of like, oh, is Ace okay, though? Because
He had a hard.
Doesn't seem like it.
Well, it actually doesn't seem like he had a hard childhood. It seems like he was raised nicely and stuff like that.
Right, he had a loving adopted family.
He just needs to talk to somebody.
Yeah. So Ace confronts Bugsy and lets him know about his pink bow and the art of Waiata. They have a little fight, which isn't really a fight because, again, Ace won't actually do anything. So Colleen has to break free and crashes her car into the warehouse to rescue Ace, who is getting the absolute shit beat out of him by Mad Dog the Pit Bull.
They're gonna experiment with his bone structure, they say.
I mean, they're tossing him around like he literally is a rag doll and a puppet without a hand in it. And I don't know if we've ever seen a Muppet receive this much.
I was gonna say, this realistic of a beating.
Yeah, because he doesn't get blown up. He doesn't get, the cartoon violence. He just literally gets dragged around and thrown into boxes and
that big
brick
dog
walls
looks really strong too. Yeah, this was like the most visceral beating a Muppet's ever received.
Yeah, but all that leads to a car chase, and this was the moment I was alluding to earlier that I think is the worst directed section of the thing, because this car chase, I think, is it's as exciting as a Muppet car chase can be when filmed under these conditions, which is not very.
Yeah.
But in the middle of it, Rolf has a mobile piano that he's riding around on for some reason.
That's crazy. Like a bike with a piano on it that he's wheeling around after the... Yeah, Rolf is in this a lot.
I couldn't tell if he was supposed to be providing background music to the car chase.
I think so.
Because otherwise, why
wasn't he there all the time? There's background music throughout the whole thing. But yes, I think he's supposed to be providing chase music. And
that's what ends the car chase with them at the pissing off the pier thing we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Belle and Bugsy. Belle, who we haven't talked about much, but is the sex worker we alluded to earlier.
No, maybe she is, but she's the one who says that Colleen is a sex worker.
Yes, but I think there's also... It seems like the implication is that Belle and Colleen were both sex workers on like different street corners. Yeah. And now Belle is Bugsy's current girlfriend.
She worked her way up. Yeah, that's right. Belle, I like her. She had the best subtle joke, and I don't know if it was not subtle and I'm just stupid, was that Rolf says, all the dogs drool just by hearing her name. And it's like whose dog is it that drools when you ring the bell? Yeah. Yes, her name's Miss Bell, and all the dogs drool.
That's very good. I didn't even get that. That's very good.
The second time I was like, oh, I see what you've done. I like that.
Very good. Well, this is when Belle and Bugsy confront them, and they each open up their car doors to hit them into the water off the pier. Then Bugsy comes after them with his gun, but Ace uses Quackers, the puppet, to distract Bugsy, eventually attaching it to his tail, which causes Bugsy to shoot Quacker's head off, hurting his own tail in the process.
Oh, yeah, he does. I noticed that second time, too. He kills Quackers, basically.
Yeah, to which Ace has no reaction. That his childhood toy that he just discovered today was destroyed.
Yeah. Why couldn't it... I'm sorry. I shouldn't rewrite stuff like this, but like, why couldn't it have been like a chew toy or something, too? Like, why couldn't Quackers have been specifically called out to be like a squeaky chew toy or something?
No, it's got to be a puppet so that Rolf can make the joke at one point about like a guy talking to a puppet. Ugh.
Oh, yeah, I suppose so.
Well, they've got Bugsy cornered, but Bugsy has a secret gun that he quickly pulls on Ace. But thankfully, Colleen kicks the dock, and Bugsy had been shooting his machine gun earlier. He shot a hole in the pier in the dock, and she kicks that. It falls open, and he falls in the water.
And his tail falls off, too?
His tail falls off in Ace's hand as Bugsy falls.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the cops show up right then. And I guess everything's just fine because Ace is like, here's his tail. He's in the water. Go get him, I guess. Problem solved.
We're getting married.
Yeah, he immediately proposes to Colleen. And she gets to sing, When I'm Calling You.
That was pretty funny.
And we quickly are in the theme song again, but at the end of the show, where it's more jarring than ever.
You have to transition gently back into the 80s. You can't go too fast into the 30s.
Yeah, when you're like, see here, and it's like, Dog City, everybody want to go.
Everybody would have been scared.
And maybe the most wild part of all of this comes at the very end, when Rolf informs us that Ace and Colleen got married and lived happily ever after, until their place was ransacked and burned to the ground by a marauding band of renegade sheep.
So I guess they weren't killed, but their lives were ruined.
Yeah, presumably they're back looking for food in the alleyway.
Or maybe they were killed. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe when he's saying they lived happily ever after until, because they no longer lived.
That until is a loaded until.
But yeah, overall, I think I liked Dog City maybe more than I would have guessed based on just still photos, but not as much as I was hoping based on everyone's hype and based on the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'll agree. When I was writing my summary, like the first half is huge, and then the second half is basically just they get in a car chase and Bugsy falls in a hole. So yeah, I think it was so close to being really special, but it wasn't really special. But there's a lot of moments, like the one moment I forgot to bring up is there's a part where Ace is like pounding on the bar and the stuff on the bar is like flying. And for some reason that to me was just like, I know his little soft hands are doing that. So there's like somebody under there like punching the bar and making the stuff fly. There's just so many moments, and I'm so bad at remembering to think like, oh, these are puppets. There's so many moments where it's so impressive that they are puppets. And this just feels like such a classic, perfect puppet production that I just wish that the script had been a little bit better. They could have edited a few of the puns out, and they could have made it a little bit more there could have been a pathos there that was lacking, that I think, like, I don't know, like dogs are goofy, but dogs are sad too. And like when he's getting hit by that newspaper, it's like, oh yeah, dogs can feel emotions really deeply. So I do think if there had been a little bit more real emotion in it, I would have really liked it. But as it is, I don't know, I guess to me, maybe as I'm talking about it, it felt like a really long UK segment of a Muppet show or something like that, where it's like really goofy and really kind of like unnecessary to the whole episode, but also like sometimes those were really impressive too. Yeah, it didn't entirely like connect with me, but I still liked it. And if I'd liked Ace better, I think at the end of the day, it would have been better.
Yeah, I think Ace is the real downfall of this, just because like I said, that first 10, 15 minutes I really do enjoy. And I think so much of that is setting up a lot of things that I assumed would go somewhere.
Right.
And just had a lot of build up about him being passive or this orphanage thing, and just so much happening that felt like setups for the rest of the episode. And it just kind of continues on with the main conflict between Ace and Bugsy, while not necessarily coming back to any of those plot points in a real way. Like they're set up in a really important way, like this is notable, and then just ends up being a way to get a duck puppet that he can use to distract the guy at the end.
And as to why Jim would think this was one of the best things he ever made, I can see on a technical level how that is true, but I don't know if I can agree with him.
Yeah, I just really want to know when he said that, because I think that will color my opinion of that sentence much more, because I'm so curious, just because, he did Muppet Vision 3D after this.
Oh yeah, totally.
So that's better than this, Jim.
That's better than this. That's true. That's definitely true. But this is the best episode of Jim Henson Hour we've seen, I think, too.
By far. I think we are. It does feel like this is better, and it gives me some hope that we'll enjoy more episodes as opposed to previous episodes where I was like, oh God, are we really only watching one of these a week? That's going to suck.
Yeah.
But knowing we have the Miss Piggy special to look forward to next, and then I think we have like a behind the scenes special after that. Just kind of gives me a little bit more hope.
Yeah, me too. And I think like we made fun of Jim's big idea of like, this week it'll be this crazy thing, and then the next week it might be this crazy thing. But it seems like it works better when it is the big crazy swings than when it is just storyteller and Muppet television. Like that doesn't work. But when they do something out of the ordinary, that feels a lot better.
And I think we get something pretty outside the ordinary pretty soon with the Monster Maker episode, which is the one about like a guy who essentially wants to be a creature shop kind of creator. So yeah, be curious to see what that one's like. If it's more like a Lighthouse Island or more like a storyteller, we'll find out. But for now, Sam, it's time for our Muppet of the Week.
The hell?
This week, Waldo C. Graphic.
Oh, we've only gotten one teeny little glimpse of him outside of Muppet Vision, right?
Yeah, a little tiny glimpse. He's only in a few episodes of Muppet.
I feel like if you're watching it live, you'd be like, every week to week, you'd be like, was there a 3D guy or did I hallucinate that there was a 3D guy?
Yeah, like, I feel like they would have used him again, right? Like, obviously he's important enough to come back. Not really. I think because of Muppet Vision 3D, obviously Waldo has made quite the impact on the Muppet world. But really didn't do a whole lot because he's only in 5 episodes of the Jim Henson Hour, which is, to be fair, percentage-wise, quite a bit. We will see him in the next episode we're watching. But Muppet Vision 3D is really his claim to fame, and I think where most people will remember him from. Strangely, the C, it doesn't stand for anything officially in Waldo C. Graphic, similar to like Salacious B. Crumb. It is unknown, although most people assume it must be computer, like Waldo Computer Graphic.
Computer Graphic, sure.
He is the spirit of 3D. He was designed by Kirk Thatcher. He is, for those that maybe don't know Waldo, he is a CG Muppet. He is a computer animated Muppet who is operated and puppeteered in real time via a Waldo. That's what he's named after. It's the puppeteering device.
And these have been around for a long time, right? Waldos have been around forever.
Yeah, so I looked this up again. I think we might have mentioned this once, but according to Muppet Wiki, the term Waldo actually comes from a 1942 novella written by a science fiction author. In this novella, a disabled scientist named Waldo builds a robot to amplify his limited abilities. And so because of that, NASA engineers adopted the name Waldo for any time that they used robot control devices. So if they're using something that controls something else, that's a Waldo.
Okay, and so it's a term that they borrowed from science.
I mean, yeah, NASA is sort of the one who made it this. Like a Waldo being a robot-controlled thing. And so the Jim Henson Company, Muppets, whoever, took the Waldo term from NASA. But yeah, so they use a Waldo to puppeteer an animated character in the computer. I think we might see some behind the scenes of this at some point. But essentially, it renders a pretty low-res version of Waldo live on a TV screen that they can watch in the room. Like when they make an avatar, you can see like a low-res version of the avatar characters on the TV. But then later on, they'll render it out in a computer to make it higher quality to actually match the look of the show.
You mean Avatar, like the big blue guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
But apparently Kirk Thatcher was influenced by, there's a CG short called Balloon Guy that you can watch on YouTube from 1987. And you look at that, you're like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It has very similar style to it. So Waldo debuts in 1989 on the Jim Henson Hour, but like I said earlier, most notably appears as the main antagonist of Muppet Vision 3D, which is the last time anyone saw Waldo C. Graphic. Star burned bright, but briefly, from 1989 to 1991. And his performer is Steve Whitmire. And the only real thing we've seen of Waldo outside of those appearances on Jim Henson Hour and Muppet Vision 3D is either in merch, where he's been part of a very terrible looking Vinylmation figure from Disney, or for some reason in the 2021 Muppet Babies reboot episode called The Best Friend Beach Day, Miss Nanny has a Waldo keychain on her keys.
Well, that show had like Yorick in the background and stuff too.
Yeah, right? But Miss Nanny having a Waldo keychain, I think, opens up some questions about is Waldo a beloved character in this world? Is she a Muppet fan somehow who likes the deep cuts?
He's a real celebrity?
He's real in this world.
Yeah.
Waldo is real in the Muppet Babies world.
Ooh, that Vinylmation figure is really bad.
Yeah, because they had to like make the legs and the ears and everything clear so he's floating.
Yeah.
But it's very strange. But yeah, that's kind of all there is to say about Waldo C. Graphic, because again, he appeared very briefly. So Sam, what would you rate Waldo C. Graphic?
Gosh.
Out of 10 is our current scale.
He's so annoying. And he was always kind of my least favorite part of Muppet Vision 3D. And I remember being shocked when I learned that he was from something else.
It does feel like he's an original creation. The way they treat him in that feels
he's
like
retconned for sure.
Yes.
That
like Disney parks were like, you got to put some CGI in there.
Yeah. because I guess he can fly. I don't know what Waldo. I just don't think he's. I don't think he's that much. I'm looking at him right now, trying to divine what I think about this guy.
We talked about this with the extremes, but if anyone has Izzy, the Olympic mascot, energy,
yes, he quite he shares many aspects of Izzy. Is right.
Like those two could be brothers.
I think I'm gonna have to give him 3. I just don't like him that much.
Wow. I think I definitely like him more than that. I like his ambition as a character, both technologically, but also just Kirk Thatcher, trying something different with the visual style here, imagining what a computer-generated Muppet could be. I like the idea that, he's setting up a future of what the Jim Henson Company would do with like Sid the Science Kid and other things like that, where they have these digital puppets.
Right.
So I think for that, I want to give him a little bit more. Like, I feel like his legacy, both as a part of Muppet Vision 3D, but also the technological steps he took forward, I think I give him a 6.
Whoa, that's huge, Matt.
It's pretty big. I'm okay with it, though. I accept it.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the 3. He has an annoying hat. Like
I don't mind his hat.
If you saw somebody wearing that hat in real life, you'd be like, I can't talk to that person. They're going to be so annoying.
In the 90s, everyone had a Dr. Seuss hat in their closet.
The Cat in the Hat, very annoying.
Yeah, that's true, especially when he's played by Mike Myers. Well, Sam, was there some non-Muppet things you got to enjoy this week?
Was there? I guess I've been watching a couple horror movies.
Tis the season.
October. I don't know. It won't be this season, but
now when you're hearing this, it's just after the season.
I watched Bring Her Back. Do you know this movie?
Nope.
It's by the same directors that did Talk to Me. Do you know that movie?
Nope.
They're Australian filmmakers who were YouTubers. I think you'd probably recognize their names.
Okay.
Let me see. The Filippo brothers. Filippo.
Okay, these men look familiar. I'm sure I know them from something.
They make these They've made a couple horror movies. Talk to Me, I have not seen yet, but I've heard is very scary. Bring Her Back is about. Well, I can't even talk about any of it, or I'll spoil it. It's about 2 kids who end up. They end up orphaned, and they have to move in with the mom from Paddington, the Paddington movies, and she's not all she seems to be, and she's really good in it. It was good. I liked it quite a bit. Bring Her Back. That's one I saw. I saw Drag Me to Hell. Have you ever seen that before?
Yeah,
that's a crazy movie.
Down the street from where they were filming that. When I lived in California.
Cool.
Because I was walking by a bank building one time, and I got to see the car, the Beast.
Oh, you got to
Sam
see
Raimi's.
The Beast?
I got to see it in person. It was sitting there in the parking lot, and I was like, what is happening? There's a film set, and the Beast is here. And then it was Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah, for those who don't know, there's a old Oldsmobile in every Sam Raimi movie. I think every one of them that was in the first Evil Dead and has been in every one since then. And I guess it was his car. That's awesome. Drag Me to Hell was fine. It was very, when was it made? 2009. It felt like the most 2000s movie ever that could ever be made.
It feels like a movie that you very easily just go like, wow, that was a movie I watched.
Yeah.
But like much. You enjoy it. It's very weird. But it definitely is just very of a time.
Lots of CGI that doesn't really serve. Like horror and CGI don't mix that well. And this one
that makes sense.
Really pushes that too far, I think. But there's quite a few shocking and fun scenes in it. And the end is crazy. So anyway, so that's pretty much all I've watched that was worth talking about. But some good spooky movies. I gotta watch some more this week before Halloween. How about you?
Haven't been watching the spookies. Been keeping up with Only Murders in the Building season 5. All caught up on that so far. I did watch the John Candy I Like Me documentary.
Oh, how is that?
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's sort of like Dog City. First half really strong, really interesting, and then eventually you can kind of feel it spinning its wheels a little bit.
Oh, that's what they call a classic Dog City.
Classic Dog City. But no, it's very good. John Candy is someone, an actor I love everything he's in. And maybe I was thinking about this while watching it. Maybe the first celebrity death I remember, because I would have been like 6 or 7 when he died. And I remember John Candy dying being a thing. So yeah, maybe there's somebody earlier, but for me, that was sort of the first celebrity that I clearly have a memory of learning they died and being sad about it.
Huh.
But it's a good documentary just because they got everybody who ever worked with him to sit down and talk. And they show so many good clips. And so obviously, if you like John Candy, you're going to get to see a lot of good John Candy clips. But yeah, I think the biggest takeaway for me from John Candy is that I need to rewatch Uncle Buck sometime soon, because
I've never seen that. I think really my problem is I have a big John Candy gap in my
Yeah, you need to watch Uncle Buck. I think you'll enjoy that. Well, we gotta let you know what we're watching next time, and next time, of course, we're continuing the Jim Henson Hour with episode 5, confusingly called First Show, from May 14th, 1989, which features guest Bobby McFerrin and the Miss Piggy's Hollywood special.
First Show.
Yeah, I'm sure something about it will make sense.
I always think that it's going to start with Jim being like, okay, we've been fucking around up until now. Now we're going to start making the show for real.
Yeah, maybe that's what this one is. He's like, please ignore the last few weeks. Well, we got to thank our friend Tuna for making music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com for all commitment needs, whether it's a t-shirt or just listening to the latest episode. And while doing so, you can rate and review this podcast anywhere on your platform of choice. You can leave comments on Spotify, apparently. If you'd like to get in touch, you can email us at mail@commitment.com or follow us on social media at commitmentpod or at commitment.com on Blue Sky. Or you can always follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.